So I don't want to delay this, but I do want to say, first of all, thank you for coming today. I think that maybe everybody thought this was going to be a slow news day. I can tell you I certainly hoped for that myself. But up until about 2 hours ago, I was truly hoping that I'd never be in this position again. A position that was kind of thrust upon us as a company, us as a community, both personally and as a business on Monday. So I thought, through the revelations of finally today at around noon, that I would bring everybody up to date on a little history on how we got here to this moment right now. Not only here in Arizona, but what it looks like for the United States and what has gotten the attention of the world. On March 18th, as the virus took off, we were mandated to close down like so many businesses in Arizona. Like everybody, without understanding what was happening with the virus, we certainly complied. Originally, we were told we were going to be closed for 2 weeks, which ended up being 2 months. We had no idea what the future held, what the virus was in store for us, or if business would ever come back. 12 days later, we came to the realization that we were going to have to furlough 1,310 employees. As a company that has just under 1,500 employees, we also learned at the same time that we did not qualify for any government assistance to be able to move forward during the time that we were mandated to close. We did not like that. We were disappointed, but we still complied. As understanding of the virus grew, so did the lack of understanding of the businesses that were deemed essential that were allowed to stay open. Yet we stayed closed. Yet we complied. Yet we tried to understand, and we waited for clarification, transparency, and understanding. I felt like as a business community, I started this company when I was 22 years old in 1991. We're the largest locally owned health club chain in the state of Arizona. We're home to 105,000 Arizonans and 1,500 employees. I felt it was our duty to not complain, but to help. Immediately while we were closed, we donated cases of wipes to Banner Hospital. That was a scary situation because we knew that there was a possibility if we opened, guess what we wouldn't have? But it was more important to help out the hospitals right away. We weren't done. I also felt we needed to help the actual Arizona Coronavirus Relief Fund, and even without any funding, with the stop of all income, we donated $100,000 to that cause. But we weren't done. We worked with Patients' Choice and opened up our now vacant parking lots to all of Arizona to come through and get drive-in antibody testing to thousands of Arizonas. At that same time, we were working with the governor's office on protocols in hopes of reopening and when. We worked and put together, and I was asked to put those forward to the office that included the WHO and the CDC guideline recommendations that we were given. And we put those in place. And then we waited. On May 12th, Governor Ducey announced that health clubs were going to be allowed to reopen. Obviously, we were extremely excited, but we were not ready to open on the 12th. I had to call 1,310 people and happily notify them they had their jobs back. We had to bring them in. We had to train them. We had to completely re-outfit the facilities because of social distancing. We took down every other treadmill. We created an app so you could design your spot in a group fitness room at 50% capacity. You knew where you were going to stand. We required protocols throughout the facilities. We added wipes and gels. We took temperatures of all employees and all children going into the child care. We were a leader in compliance, and we went and moved forward. I saw people who had been cooped up for 60 days breathe, literally breathe. I watched them relieve stress and feel healthy and significant again. And I was happy. Even though we weren't at full capacity, we were part of the solution in this pandemic. And we moved forward. On June 29th at 2:55, ironically, I was in my doctor's office getting my annual physical. I had a voicemail when I got done at 3:10. It was the governor's office saying, Tom, tune in to the press conference at 3 o'clock. I was in my car with hundreds of texts. I didn't know why. It was at that point I learned that we were being told that we had to close in 5 hours. I had no idea as to why. What was the reason? Why in 5 hours? Why at all? We hadn't done anything wrong. We hadn't violated anything. We were in the guidelines and the protocols that we all agreed on. Yet, without notice, proof, or reasoning, we were told, our industry was told, we were part of the problem. Go home again. Go tell 1,500 people they don't have a job again. Go let them be in fear again. And let's move forward. Deal with it. We were told that we were in the same boat as if you tubed down the Salt River, or if you were going to a movie theater, which wasn't open at the time. Go home. I at this point said no. Not because I don't believe that we're in a pandemic, that our numbers are rising. It's because I saw everything that was happening that we all saw at the same time. The lack of clarity as to who was open and why. The lack of clarity in the numbers. The placating to action without action. Blame. Arbitrary decisions. The belief that this will fix this. And I felt at that point it was time to make a stand. I was aware that if I was in defiance of Governor Ducey's order, I could be fined and possibly arrested. At this point, this wasn't about the coronavirus anymore. This became about everybody. It became about our governing, our leadership. It became about the business community. It became about who's next. What's the next reason for the next business to be closed? Why? Give us an answer, please. That's all we're asking. Give us some guidance. Give us some truth, please. We're people. We're all dealing with it. Just because we're open and I didn't want to close didn't mean I didn't care about the virus. Hell, we cared when we were closed a lot. We cared today. We cared yesterday. This was about our rights, and where it's gone too far and the arbitrary nature of this decision and where it came from. So let me tell you about what happened this week, because I felt like it was important from the inside for the world to understand where our politics have taken over and the true desire to fix this and deal with this pandemic left. The true care about us as citizens in this country. The ironic nature that today, as our government actually celebrates their day off for the independence that we as a country fought for, to get our freedoms, to get our rights, to get our ability to say no, to get our ability to be heard in court, to say that's enough, not anymore. We were with everybody in this. We still are with everybody in this. This is hard. This week, I've been threatened. I've had every police station citate me, almost every one of them. The uncomfortable situation that our police officers are in made more uncomfortable to have to come and cite us for this situation. For that, I feel truly sorry that they've been put in this position. That is simply also not fair. And they've been amazing to work with in this time. I watched as no other businesses have been closed, and I've watched the numbers. I guess we weren't the problem. I guess there hasn't been proof that we, as an industry, were the hot spot. Maybe Arizona, as a state, as so many other states, are dealing with the unknown as a unit, as a group. Maybe us, as a community, as a country, need to look at each other and say, it's not you, it's us. How can we fix this together? Let's stop pointing fingers or hiding or making it look like we're doing something and damn well do it. That's what this needs. Not saying we're doing something about it and closing health clubs and tubing at the Salt River. We're not bringing in the director of the coronavirus task force and parading her around the state to have her get on a plane to say, you're doing a great job. Thanks for closing the health clubs. You're doing everything you can to fight the pandemic, and then watch her fly away. Only to watch the vice president come in the next day and do it again. Watch as the citations grew and the pressure mounted. I called the governor's office. I said to them, if we can work together in a negotiation, I can get all the fitness centers and studios in this state together. They want to. We still want to be a part of the solution, but you got to work with us. Negotiate me, let's work together now. They said, we're not going to negotiate with you until you're in compliance. And I raised my hand, I said, but I was in compliance, and you closed this down anyways. And I've sat for this last week, and I've watched no other businesses be closed down. I've watched the numbers. I've watched the lack of transparency in everything. I remember when Governor Ducey said, we're not going to walk backwards. I guess that didn't include us, or any reasons as to why, or anybody else. So I sit here today, the last, I would say, thrown in the kitchen sink was the Department of Health walking up to our Shea Club on 116th Street yesterday and taping up a notice to close immediately, or else I'd be in violation again and be subject to civil court and more fines. They immediately notified the AP. Calls started coming again, pressure mounted. I would ask everybody, what attention has been put on the rest of the virus since this week? Any other businesses, any other hot spots? Or is all the attention on my defiance? I never wanted this to be anything between Mountainside, myself, against Governor Ducey. I wanted it to be fairness and transparency for all businesses and us as a people moving forward in this. I wanted accountability from our leaders, and if that meant I'm going to be fined or could end up in jail, there's been plenty of great Americans who have been in this position before. I'm okay with that. I made that decision on Monday night. We are going to stay open until we have our day in court, which is Monday morning. If we are allowed a stay, we will move forward until our full case is heard. If the court does not allow a stay, we will comply and respect the court's decision. We will deal with being closed again. That's what I wanted to explain to everybody today, and I'm certainly available to take any questions at this point. Yes, sir.
First off, with this outbreak, how many of your employees have actually
Very few.
We did get an email recently from someone who claims to be an employee saying that one facility there's been 10 employees that have tested positive at that facility in particular. Is that true or is that the case?
I don't actually know that exact number. What is interesting though is that this is the confusing part, everybody, is we can get lost in, I never said, go look at my press conference on Tuesday. Did I say that we didn't have anybody that tested positive? I did not say that. I said we did. Guess what? Ask Home Depot. Ask the liquor store that was deemed essential when we were closed. The flower shop and the casino that's still open. Ask them how many employees, or does everybody want to look at us? We didn't say that we didn't have it. I think it's still happening right now. Let's talk about everybody having it. That question is a layup. Everybody has an employee that has the coronavirus, or else we would not be seeing the spikes that we do. Our protocols are in place. We are handling it as we said we would handle it, and we will continue to do so. We are not the cause of the coronavirus spike, period.
I understand you're not the cause of the spike. Obviously, it's widespread. But how are you making sure that it doesn't continue to spread within fitness clubs like this, especially for your employees?
Well, first of all, it's not in fitness clubs, so to speak. We are talking about an employee. If you want to talk about all employees everywhere, I'll have that conversation with you. We have the protocols in place. We communicate with that employee. We communicate with their coworkers who have worked around them. We have paid for the testing of the coworkers to ensure that they get tested. We've quarantined the employees that did have it. The understanding that is interesting. A health club doesn't have customers. We have members. We have the ability to communicate to everybody where they are on the floor, in a room, to take the temperatures for employees, wash hands, you name it. We have an ability someplace that we don't have, you don't see in the Safeways, in the Home Depots, in the flower shops, in the casinos. We could go on, and the bars.
How many of your facilities have had positive COVID cases?
I couldn't tell you exactly right now. Couldn't tell you.
Why not?
Because I don't have that answer.
Why not? You're the CEO.
We don't have all the results from every facility. A lot of facilities have reported none.
Have you notified your members of these facilities?
No.
Why not?
Because it's impossible to notify the public. I would say to you again, if we want to go down that road, I'll stop you right there. Stop. Ask Home Depot, are you notifying everybody that walks? I'm asking your question.
You called us here today.
I know that, but I'm answering your question.
Because I was at your gym here this morning, and you had 40 folks that were inside, only 2 were wearing masks. Why not?
We didn't require them to wear masks.
Why not tell your members that you guys had positive COVID cases in your gyms?
Because
Their health is on the line. I talked to
well,
them
hold
about
on a minute.
cancer
You want me to answer the question? You want to keep talking?
Please.
Okay. I'm asking for fairness from our officials. If we're in the spotlight because I said no, ask that same question to every business. Are you going around? I would ask you, please, come back to me in a week. As you've asked every business in this community, in this country, are you saying that, talking to every customer about every employee that had COVID? We are communicating to their coworkers. It is impossible for us to be able to do what you just asked, just like it's impossible for Safeway to do it, or Home Depot. Excuse me?
Don't you have their emails and phone numbers?
I cannot communicate to no understand that, just like I cannot communicate if you walked into Home Depot and you went to the register. I have your receipt when you checked
But
in.
you're asking the governor to do a true party.
I'm asking the governor for fairness. I asked the governor for fairness in his decision as to why we were closed. I'm not going to debate the science of what's happening now because that's not why we're here.
Do you not believe the numbers?
I didn't say that.
The restaurants, Fry's, a school down in Clean Creek, are all of these places notifying everybody that have been on the grounds?
And I didn't
Do you
say,
believe that you can do your part?
this has,
Every business in Arizona. It has been at restaurants. Did the restaurants shut down? Did they notify every customer?
this isn't about that today. And you asked me, do I believe the number? Of course, I can only believe what we're being told, just like you. That doesn't mean I don't believe the numbers because of how we're notifying members, just like Home Depot or a restaurant. It has zero to do with whether I believe it or not, or that we're not in a pandemic that isn't having action taken. That's the point. There is how many businesses still open? that are subject to a decision tomorrow without proof or reasoning as to why they're closed and what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to do. We are working within everything that we can do, just like you and you and you and everybody.
Members that they don't have masks.
Excuse me?
You haven't told your members that they're positive COVID cases.
I'm-
Your workforce. Why not tell them, and why not?
I just answered that question.
Why
I
not
believe
tell
I.
them to wear a mask?
Does anybody else have another question?
Could you at least maybe post something on the front of your entrance? I mean, we're seeing people post things on the front of your entrance to talk about how the health
Yes.
did that yesterday.
Yes.
So,
We'll look at that.
And
We've
by the
been-
way, guys, that's not the law right now. There's been restaurants that have had outbreaks that do not notify their customers and don't put it on social media. That's the law in Arizona right now. You don't have to notify your customers.
We're trying our best, just like everybody else is. As we're being singled out and trying to be vilified like this for that, it's changing the narrative of why we're here. How many businesses have been asked to close as the numbers that we all see have risen since Monday? Can anybody answer that question? How many businesses have you shown up at to ask those CEOs how many of their employees have it, and if they've notified their members or actually customers or patrons or what have you? The narrative is our freedoms and where this choice came from, the fairness in it, and what we're looking at for us as a community to fight this pandemic, us as a civilization, certainly as a business owner for the 1,500 people that were thrown out in our company alone, much less all the fitness industry. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to clarify what I think your sentiment is. You think the governor was under some sort of pressure to do something because of the rise in cases, and your industry is the one that suffered, and only your industry, but it didn't come with any actual data or background?
That's correct. I am aware that bars were asked to close down. I am all 3 days, I think, before us, and then this EO came in, or EA came in on Monday without any warning or any proof as to why in this. I'm also aware that nothing's happened since then. We were a part of the solution. We've given our energy and our time, our spirit, our money to this. We care about every Arizona. I spent 30 years caring about every Arizona's health.
What about Deborah Ewing, who has cancer and was at your gym this morning without a mask?
That's her choice.
Well, I have no. Ask her when she went shopping or when she went to the grocery store. What other questions do we have? Yes, sir.
You said that obviously, are you expecting, if you don't close down by today, until your Monday court date, are you expecting someone to come in and arrest you and arrest some of your employees? You did kind of say that you are willing to take that risk.
Yeah, I was willing to take it on Monday. That has not changed. I had asked and still ask for there to be a pause, and let's just let the court decide and not put it. I wanted this to end Monday. I wanted understanding on Monday, not for just Mountainside, but for fitness, but more importantly, for all businesses and the arbitrary nature of this decision so that we're all protected and can trust. And in the transparency of the numbers that we're all hearing and the transparency in the truth. So it doesn't look like we're kind of trying to do something and we're going to pick somebody out, whether it's a bar or a health club. It's everybody together. Yes, ma'am.
You've given examples as to how you are a leader here in the valley, a lot of examples. Don't you think inviting, opening your doors, allowing people to come in and gather all in one spot, is it keeping people in this community safe?
Well, what I look at and go, it's not, it's funny. That's where it gets great because I understand that question. It's been asked, I think Chris Como asked me that question the other night, is if you're going to say, do I think that we should do something? Absolutely. But if you're going to single out, that's what we're talking about. I don't want to keep coming back to, do you think, do you think, do you think? Absolutely, I understand that question. What's getting lost in that question is everything. Do I think that the numbers have stopped? No. Do I think that everything, do we understand everything and that's just I would say, a straw in a whole field of hay? Absolutely. Let's look at everything. That's all I'm at. Everything. Everybody, every business. And let's look at it. And don't try and act like you're doing something and get touted from the feds that you are. Come and actually do something. We want to be a part to move forward, continually move forward. We were in compliance when we were asked to close. I would be surprised if anybody in my position wouldn't feel the same or wouldn't feel fear for themselves and their jobs or their kids or their friends. I said the other night, what is the difference right now between the decision that came on Monday night and all of your jobs? Or all the businesses out there. It could be a clothing store, it could be a liquor store, it could be a flower shop, it could be any business out there, coffee shop. What is the difference in this? Are we going to do something, or are we going to make it look like we're going to do something and affect a lot of lives right now at the cost of that? That's where I'm here for.
So to be clear, you see this as either an all or nothing approach.
It always has to be. We're all in this. Arizona is a hot spot. Not Mountainside Fitness. Arizona is a hot spot. Go look at all the different states that are a hot spot. This country is a hot spot. We all are. It takes everybody to look at this, not to just go pick one business. I wouldn't want this. I would be standing here if it was another business right alongside them for the same reasons. We all have to do this together. All of us in this. We have tried. We have shown. We are in this. We can't do anything more. And to say to me, we won't talk unless you get in compliance, I say to them, we were in compliance and you did not talk. You just closed us down. If you want to do that again, I'll pick up the phone and you can talk to the 1,500 people that we're employing and tell them the reason why. Or I'm sorry, the lack of the reason why you're being told to go home. And then sit there and communicate with them as they watch the numbers of our state continue to grow and grow. I appreciate everybody's time and energy in this. I certainly was not looking for this. We simply just wanted to stay open, wanted to understand, communicate, and work together. That has not changed. That has been communicated over and over. It will be communicated going forward. I have all my sisters and brothers in the fitness community that want to do the same thing. I have that same support with all the business community. We are a community. The Valley, Arizona, the United States. This is our country. We have our rights to communicate, to trust, to request, to demand fairness, our rights, without the pressure that we have seen today. This is real. And the virus, whether Mountainside closes tomorrow, we're all going to wake up with the same numbers that we believe or don't believe. I thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.